Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. I'm Rebecca Martinez, and today we're going to be making some cream cheese cornbread that is gluten-free and vegan. To start, we're going to grease a loaf pan. So you can use any loaf pan that you have. Mine is a nice babka loaf pan of stainless steel, and grease it with any olive oil or nonstick spray that you have. You can choose butter or regular olive oil and then just mix it around with your finger. All of these work excellently. Of course, this is to prohibit any sticking. It is a crucial step. Trust me, I've forgotten to grease a pan many a time, so it's important to do so. When you've finished, we're going to make the flax eggs. So prepare 2 flax eggs by combining 2 tablespoons of ground flaxseed meal. You can find this at Whole Foods or any local grocer. Most places carry it now. And add about a half a cup to 6 tablespoons worth of water and allow it to rest on the table so it can congeal and form a sort of egg mass. It replaces the egg quite nicely. So you can just set this aside while you continue the rest of the bake. For this loaf, I mainly use the paddle attachment. Feel free to use, a bowl and a whisk, but I use the paddle attachment on a KitchenAid. If you have a KitchenAid, please use it because it comes in handy and alleviates a lot of the labor. And once you've added the paddle attachment to your KitchenAid, we're going to take 1 stick of vegan butter at room temperature and plop it in the bowl and whisk it to add some air into it, to aerate the butter. Additionally, we're going to add 1 8-ounce tub of tofutti cream cheese. You can use any kind of vegan cream cheese at your local store. I like tofutti because it's not too posh. It's always quite a bit affordable and tastes the same as the other vegan cream cheeses. You want to make sure that this is also at room temperature because my cream cheese was not at room temperature. I actually put it in little by little. But if your cream cheese is at room temp, you can add this all in one go. You want to make sure that your ingredients are at room temperature so they do not destabilize the other. Routinely wipe down the paddle and the bowl to make sure that everything is super well combined. This is just something to keep in mind when using any sort of bowl and whisk because you want to make sure that everything at the bottom is getting really well combined with everything that's being added to the mixture. So routinely, as you make this bake, take your spatula and wipe down the paddle in addition to the bowl, making sure that everything is super well combined. Once your butter and your vegan cream cheese are well combined, add the 2 flax eggs back into it. Because you add flax instead of eggs, there will be light flecks in the wet mixture, but this is completely normal. For the sweetener of this loaf bread, we're going to add 1.5 cups of light brown sugar. You can use granulated sugar or dark brown sugar if you prefer, but the light brown sugar has a nice gentle touch of molasses and also adds that sweetness that granulated sugar provides. If you go less than 1.5 cups, I find that it's not sweet enough. 2 cups is too sweet. 1.5 cups is the perfect measurement in my opinion, but feel free to fiddle with it. You'll notice that everything will cream nicely and it'll look like a syrup almost. This is the combination and texture that you want. We'll then add some cornmeal because this is cornbread. So add 1 cup of cornmeal to your dry ingredients right in the KitchenAid. You can choose to combine all of your dry ingredients separately, but I find that this is just easier. Add your 1 cup of cornmeal, mix it a bit, and allow it to absorb some of the wet mixture, and so it'll hydrate a little bit. I use basic cornmeal that you can get at any grocery store. For the next step, we're going to add 1 cup of all-purpose gluten-free baking flour. This is the baking flour that I choose to use when I'm doing gluten-free bakes. I know that there are tons out there. If you have any ideas or favorites, please let me know in the comments because I would like to expand my repertoire of gluten-free baking, but I will leave this one linked in the description for those of you that are interested. It works very well and tends to be the best supplement on the market for all-purpose flour and those that have eaten this gluten-free bake. enjoy quite a bit. Now everything will be like a dough, like actual loaf dough at this point, but don't forget the leavener. We're going to add 1 tablespoon of baking powder to ensure that our loaf cake rises appropriately. Add a pinch of baking soda in there if you'd like, but I chose not to, and it worked just fine. Also, this recipe doesn't have salt or vanilla. If you want these to be in your recipe, make sure to do it. I wanted something just a bit more simple, so I excluded these ingredients. The next step is just to lay the dough mixture into the greased loaf pan. So take your spatula and make sure to add all of that wonderful mixture to the loaf pan. And similarly to the pumpkin loaf video, we're going to tap, tap, tap and make sure that everything is nice and smooth at the bottom of the pan with no air bubbles to ensure an even bake. You can use your spatula, tap it on any counter, and when you have your loaf mixture in there, similarly to the pumpkin loaf video, we're just going to score it. I used a bread lame, but feel free to use a butter knife. Just add a dash down the middle of the loaf. Bake at 350 degrees Fahrenheit for 50 to 60 minutes until nice and golden brown, and the loaf will easily pop out of the tin. Cut it in half and you'll see a nice tender crumb because all of the butter and the cream cheese. This makes enough to feed a full crowd, or you can save it for yourself. Let me know in the comments what other gluten-free or vegan bakes you'd like to see, and see you next Friday for more vegan recipes. Take care.